next options. We'll just introduce some of those in a very high level, where we were discussing about TF data, and we'll see some of the Keras processing as well. So now, TensorFlow with Keras. So now, before getting into this, we know that data is very crucial component of a machine learning model. So collecting the right data is not enough, right? So we also need to make sure that we put in the right process to clean or analyze the data, or also to transform the data to the next model. So in this, we'll be discussing more about how to scale the pre-processing data, TF.data, and Keras pre-processing layer, where it can combine with TensorFlow. The Keras pre-processing layer API, which allow TensorFlow developers to build Keras native input processing pipelines with pre-processing layers, where you can build, export the models truly from end to end for you. That's actually right. Oh, so these models can just accept the raw images or raw structured data as an input that can handle the feature normalizations or indexing the feature value. And this available pre-processing layer includes various other options like text pre-processing, numerical pre-processing, categorical pre-processing options, image pre-processing. So all this works for it. That's where this tf.keras comes into picture. That's the actual idea behind the basic options of why we bring Keras model to that. Okay. Go ahead. So now tf.keras has multiple layers, which can disk creation layers will each elements of activation, optimizing, losses, metrics, so everything can be managed with those options tomorrow. That's the actual idea behind the Keras layer in the table. Okay, now when you talk about this TF Keras layer, remember the features what you're going to analyze for normalizing and stuff. These layers are not trainable, right? So, and these state is not set during training. For example, when we talk about hyperparameters are set before the training model to be associated with, right? So it must be set before the training, either by initializing them or pre-computed options we have to work on. But these are not such way to work on it. So these features, you need to import the Keras pre-processing layer, process the data, normalize the data. We take care of representing vectors, like one hot vector representing strings. That layer can map the value of integer, vocabulary. So any of this can be managed at this info. Right? Okay. Now, when you talk about dimensions, we have lower dimension and higher dimension aspects as well. Lower dimensions, we usually call it as very less accuracy, more lossy in comparison. Whereas higher dimension, it will be overfitting. Because of this overfitting, what happens is because your models cannot be low dimension or higher dimension, it should be on a possible values. Higher dimension, the option is it's overfitting, but it makes your training very slow. So usually what we do is whenever you get any data, we'll have a model fit for it for the pre-processing layers. So usually the best option is between the lower dimensional and higher dimensional. approximately you can go for fourth root of the possible values you get. So this is we'll call this a trade-off. So that's a dimensional together. So lower dimensional, huge loss of comprehension, less accuracy. Higher dimensional will be very heavy, so the training will be slow. So better if you have huge volumes of data, break down the data, slow it down. Instead of square root, you just go for fourth offered, the possible values. And this will have a good starting point for the number embedding dimensions that you get. Right? Anyway, I'm just picking somewhere from the middle, but just to have an idea how this. Now, if you ask me, scaling data processing with TF data with Keras, what is data processing? Pre-processing. So in pre-processing stage, I'll just show you. You can build and export end-to-end models that accept raw images or raw structured data, as we discussed. Can normalize the data. So to normalize the data and all this pre-processing option, use this Keras API with TensorFlow. So what this Keras processing layer will do? Usually, maybe that's not given in the slides, but I'll just give you step by step how it works. What does Keras pre-processing layers? So first, you have text pre-processing. Then numerical pre-processing, categorical pre-processing, image pre-processing, and if you have any image data, augmentations or something, these pre-processing. So these are the different layers that Keras associates with TensorFlow API for making your pipeline in a better way by normalizing and pre-process the data before getting into the models and other stuff. That's the actual options. Okay. So we have a lot of keywords, but I can name very few. But like keywords, I can just give you. TF. So we have multiple layers. Now, what do you want? Huh? So you want text vectorization. That's a keyword for it. So this, you can just standardize the punctuation, split the white space for it. All this you can do. This will help you to turn the raw strings into an encoded representation that can be read by an embedding layer, and we call it as or we call it as a dense layer with huge volumes of data are available. Right. So this way you can use how many axes you want, mean value, variance. So where you can perform feature-wise normalization on input features, any normalization class you want to bring in. So all this numerical feature processing can be done with these options as well. So this is like a text vectorization. Similarly, you can go for numerical feature options and the numerical pre-processing as well, where it can turn the continuous numerical features into bucket data with some discrete ranges, where you can just break down into smaller options.